one of the questions that was asked is the raising of money. Now,
she asked whether we could create a permanent solution, we could come up with a permanent solution to the issue of tuition here and there.
Now, the teacher, one, first, we have an advantage. You see, on the Kadagas, you see people underline the Kadagas, but they put their confidence. You see, the Kadagas government has managed to have the president here and win him on the matter of tuition. And he told us that it is not happy with taxation of private institutions. So he was promising us that he's going to scrap off that tax. The effect that the administration tells us that the reason we have a hiked fees mounting is because the institution pays a lot of tax to the government. So if we can push, because one, if I'm given an opportunity to speak at the dinner and if the first lady is going to come, who is the Minister of Education? One of the things I will push is that woman. And I'm thankful that even Mr. Thomas is coming here Friday. So those two things, one, we need to push, and we need to push it vigorously. They need to see we are serious about the taxation issue. That taxation of private institutions, if we try and fight, now the issue will be telling this, so we've got a tax of please. Qualify and their amount.
We pray towards us.
Yes. Now, I hope, because I believe the taxation burden can be a institution if it can really work. But most importantly, and I want to say this with the most of clear hearts, we will never reduce tuition by paying 2,000 shillings as a refund, even if you do one. Even if you do one. Currently, I was speaking to Mark Hazel, and he's telling us we have about 12 billion in tuition, something. They're trying to address it with about 200 million, and 200 million can't do anything. Tuition will be reduced, and there's no politician that will come here and give you money, because you will go back again. Because the tuition problem will stay. The only way for us to solve tuition is grants. And I say, how do we increase grants? You see, you're doing UPENDO.MIKONO. When you do UPENDO.MIKONO, you help in society. When you help society, you're trying to solve the problem. International organizations and bodies look at the problem and solve it. And through that, they can give you some support. If UCU wants to bring some grants, then we have to get involved. Legal clinic, there's a lot of money that is seated in pillar. Go and do the mathematics. A lot of money, billions of cash, which we are losing out on. So the issue is advocacy and seriousness. Not these things of sitting here and you run around with suits. No. You have to be serious on this issue. And this issue is very serious. The tuition problem is very serious. I can't be paying 4.5 million. In Uganda.
That is the serious.
It doesn't add up. So basically, this money, these handouts won't work. These handouts from politicians, because they are one-offs, but the grants will always flow in, which is consistent. Even when we live as a government, that money will continue coming. I believe that's where a solution is. I wanted to speak on this, please. And I'm coming back to the issue. There's a reason I say I thank you for you studying business. The reason we go to school is to solve problems. The problem Africa has is that we lack a large scope of knowledge in the things that define us as who we are as Africans. What is the problem that affects you at a societal level? And what investment are we putting in to solve that? Apart from picking other problems that are not ours. The problem we have as a student organization, I was raising it yesterday in the General Assembly. You will never have students come to a society when you don't include them, when they are not having accountability. Let me tell you, and now I have Nakamata and all these others, people that are coming, please, you will gain trust, even as a family member, when you're transparent. I believe if we can improve on the point of transparency, and I'm going to argue it, I don't know if I get chased out of that government again, but transparency. I know what transparency brought a friend of mine to die in jail, Bob Kasam. Transparency. So if we can always release quarterly reports, students don't want much. There's nothing much they want from you, because there's nothing much you can do. But when they pay their 50,000, you can't tell me the receipt, but it is in my hostel. Then what is your role as a treasurer? The receipt, how much is a receipt? 50,000 can buy how many receipts? You rent. Just pay up and I move. And that money that is paid to you, Does it stay in your pocket? It goes to a bank account. And when it goes to a bank account, where is the balance, the statement? Always publish these things to the students. Let them feel. The most important thing, as I conclude, what is the reason I get to pay you 50,000 as a registered member? Why you die? Why would I wake up and pay 50 and I give it to you? The only reason is when you show me cause, you show me reason, show me these events you're trying to do. Try and tell me that you know you will gain as a law student better if you subscribe to member. People will find. So the issue is not even by one, and I say these things are not by one person. They want to be done by or the 11 not of members of the society. If we believe the society is business property, I forgot. Business society, please.
This social work students association.
Yes, social works, business, whichever. We are all in one university. We have the same problems. We all have to work together. You can't work in isolation. We can't have a guild standing there playing to solve society problems. We have UCU, those society also standing somewhere. The business people, they also have their portion. What if we collected efforts?
I was going to raise a question.
What if we come together? What if we come together and we are building with a greater cause? And so association where we have people in the association of the law society, a meeting always, because these things build us to where we are going. So I believe it is getting together, we do these things and seriously. Please, you lose a lot when you steal someone's 50,000 in law school. It is little petty money. It will not do nothing. Nothing absolutely. You won't drive a car, you won't do nothing. It won't do anything for you. The best you can do is that money can even push you further if you treat it transparently. And I believe that's the goal. Thank you.
Just a moment, yes.
I have a reaction.
Yes.
Reaction? Can you start?
We've talked about taxation leading to maybe the fees hiking. But would I say that maybe the quality of education would be that? Because is UCU the only private university? It's not. But if you look at the fee structure at UCU, it is so high compared to other private universities. It's so high. Maybe for me as a businessman, I think probably quality, because the quality of my products, I charge because of the quality of my products. Maybe UCU is charging because this is a business.
We are being used as a business, right?
Maybe UCU is charging because of the quality of the education. You talked about, someone talked about Harvard lecturers, I don't know.
Maybe the poet.
Maybe it would be a reason why these fees are high. Because about 5 years ago, I heard there is a percentage they put per service.
They actually phased it out now. And now, once you join year one, if you pay 2.2, that's what you pay till you graduate, not so. But that started when we were finishing school.
So I just wanted us to.
You've understood this point, huh? He raises the point of saying maybe even if Fred campaigns that yes, they need to reduce on the taxes for the private institutions, he's right. But he says, I'm charging you for the quality of the product. I'll give you from the perspective of my business. I sell chicken at 12,000. But then there's somebody who sells it at 8,000 or 9,000. Get it? So, but when you compare the two businesses, you see that my space is precious, all that. So now he's trying to tell you that we have some of the best lecturers around. And they provide you quality education. Are we is it quality? It is. So that's his assumption. Could you want to say something?
Yes. Now, public education is a public right. You should never forget it. It is supposed to be. You see, each one of us got a job. You never paid a point. You went in a hospital. You may claim taxes, but you went in a hospital and they gave you a free job. Why? Health is a public good. The government has to make sure they provide you an ambulance where you remain healthy. They build those local hospitals at the local level so that you can. Yes. So now let's come to education too is a public good. So by a private institution waking up to start a university, they are helping the government of Uganda to fulfill its obligation before anything we talk about. But so two, the biggest we should do is government coming in to help. That's why now I talk about the tax. You see, all these things we are not saying we are going to bring all the teachers down, but these are efforts. So if let's assume the tax has reduced 500,000, each one of us here knows of all these big universities to talk about. I don't know many number of Africans that go to these universities and pay money. They go there because they are being funded. All these, Harvard, Cambridge, everywhere, Oxford. Where does that money come from? That should be the question. It's not paid by government, I'm sorry to say. Now, I've left the idea of government. There are people who are willing to fund education. UNICEF, these big organizations, but do we show reason? Do we come into advocate? And I want to conclude. Aid is managed to reduce the cost of the ARVs in about 1998-96, going forward, was $40,000 a dose per year. We have managed to reduce this to only $200 to date because of their advocacy, because of world effort, because it has gotten back to the global agenda. Can we put education back to the global agenda? Can we show reason that we are in school but we can advocate for all these things? And this is done by leadership. Yes. So I want to end. And I'm going for those for you. So I will end. There's a gentleman wrote a book. The title is Governor. So he was a governor of Mount Joy. Mount Joy was a prison. And there's a story that comes out. There's one prison that was passing by like this room. They were playing music, teaching music lessons to prisoners. And then he tries to enter but sits behind. So he sits behind. That guy was trying to lecture, calls him and asks, what's wrong? He says, I'd like the ambience. He said, okay, sit behind, I'll talk to you after the lesson. So after the lesson, he talked to him and said, I'm interested in music. He didn't know about music. He went to the head of the prison and said, I want you to get me a guitar for this gentleman. They got him a guitar. Later on, left prison, went on and started music. He's now a lecturer of music at Cambridge University, a prisoner in jail. My issue is not with the prisoner. My issue with this gentleman who identified the prisoner, made sure he achieves, made sure he's now a lecturer at Cambridge. It is only through all of us that the world will change, doing the best for all of us. And I thank you so much that you found reason to bring all of us here to discuss society issues. Thank you so much.
Yes. So you've had Craig's points. Craig has great stuff. Very fast. Answer one question, then we wrap it. The question the young asked, Job, right? You answered Job's question?
I'm going to make a wrap-up of the questions I had.
Yes. Okay.
First of all, I would
In 2
love
minutes.
to revert to what she talked about the substitution.
Okay.
One thing that we need to know is that when we do not account for certain prices of money, people do not have the reason as to why they should pay this money. And one thing you need to realize is the fact that when we are trying to pay, it's not that people do not want to pay, but people do not see the reason as to why they should be paying. So if you tell me I'm paying 50,000 and the only thing I'm getting is a receipt, that doesn't work. And maybe the only thing I'm also going to get is an opportunity to go for an elective position. It also doesn't work. And then the other thing, maybe on what Fred talked about, as you know, we try to lobby for all these things like taxation. We need to also have a venture as a society because you cannot run on our own. So as a society, if maybe we get into power or we get into government, let's sit down and look at what business venture can we do for our society. Of course, there are always two things. There's a short term, there's a long term. What thing can you do as quick as possible to get this money? You can look at those business ventures. You try to look at that, pick out from that business venture that you decided to work on. As you try to, of course, push the government, but then you have something small that you are working on. That is how it is going to go. And then the other thing, talked about, I happen to be the president of the Youth Society. And one thing I can assure you is that we will face the same issues. We had a JSA mood, but I can tell you that faculty received, School of Law received the budget, but there was no budget for needs. a whole school of law. So this goes back to the university. You know that dean had to go and lobby for this money. You see how bad it is. So we need to sit together as different societies of the university. We don't have to push back, because at the end of the day, it is our university that is supposed to be up there. So if we do not work together, we are not going to work on the problems that we are having. Because I believe every society, they have different opportunities that they would want to go for. For instance, what I talked about, School of Law, we have probably months, we have debates that we are called for and we never go for these things. There is business, they could be having their own opportunities that they never go for these things. So we need to sit down and look for possible solutions as to how we can look for this. Yeah. And then the other thing, she asked a question about how we're going to bring these people on board. Personally, I'm okay with it. The first thing I said was my manifesto when I talked to Oyeta because before the election, we had sat and talked about that whoever goes through, we're going to work on certain things. And to me, that is okay with me. So today when I talked to him, I told him, are you okay me working on the manifesto? I was like, it is very okay with me, because at the end of the day, you are not in for just a position, you're in to serve people. And the other thing is the opportunities that we have. Yes, like I said, I've been an intern at Children Society, and to me, I believe if anytime I walk into that office, I make friends, and this is one thing you should do when you get to new places. Make as many friends as you can. So I believe when I walk into that office with any person or with any person from the society, it is very easy for them to work on us. It is also very easy to create up these relations that have been there before. So for the people that I know and that I talk to, I am going to be very grateful to bring those people on board. On part of the publicity, my friend is the president of the Alumni Association of Muslims. So we can work with him, and I'm very sure he's going to be willing to work with people. And one last thing, for people who are coming into politics and trying to run for position, this is one thing I told people when I come and go and meet when they will tell me, like, there is no much pressure, you're not doing certain things here. To me, an election is not a do or die. Like, you either get into power or you don't. And it doesn't cost anything when you do not get into power. So at the end of the day, there are very many things that they will force you, maybe people when you come, or certain things to do different things, but do not succumb to that kind of pressure, because after the election you have a reputation to protect, and you are not going to be known for doing certain things during that election. So move into an election with this attitude of it is not a do or die because you are a person before the election. The other thing is, I believe in creating an impact in society. Any society you go in, at least leave a mark. If there is any way you can do something great, please do that thing. Me, I'll leave UCU when for example, I'm in society. It was during COVID I did 2 months, and I was not happy with it because I was called upon for 2 months, and to me it drained me mentally at a certain point, because they couldn't call on different people and they didn't know the other people. So it drained me because you cannot work on 2 months a year. They demand a lot when you also study. So what I did was I sat with Dean and at Kunda, because he was my teammate for those 2 months. I sat with him, we looked at the different universities. What do they have that we do not have? We looked at the mood society. They have mood societies and they organize inter-faculty moods. So through those moods they get people to represent the university. So we decided if we can buy into this idea and bring it to UCU, it will be of help, because first of all, students will not complain. There are specific people doing the mood, and we are not being given opportunities. So as students or as any other person, when you get into a community, make sure, look out for something you can do best and focus on that thing. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Bless you too. Thank you, Doro. Lastly, give it in 1 minute. Tell us what's happened this weekend in 1 minute. Straight to 1 minute.
Thank you so much. I believe that the information that my colleagues have said has answered your questions, right?
About Law Society, yes.
Yes,
Thank
about
you
the
very much.
society. So this weekend, the Law Society has organized the annual Law Dinner.
Yeah.
And it's going to be at Serena, starting at 4 and ending at 6. Probably an extended come and attend the Lord dinner. Like I said earlier, her question, how do you intend to extend these connections that we have built? Some of us entered office without these connections, but we built these connections over time through leadership and through service. So as a leader, the values that you uphold are going to push you to greater heights. They're going to market you in different offices. And I should say that the Lord dinner is a place to start because we've invited as many reputable people, ladies and gentlemen, in
Who's the
the
guest of honor?
profession. Our guest of honor is the First Lady, Janet Kataka. Yes, Janet Kataka
They have been the first lady. Yes.
And the chief guest is the AG, Attorney General. Yes, so
Tell us the fees.
that's a place to start. It's 130,000 for students and 150,000 to the alumni or people who are not
Yes.
Yes, and you should. We expect.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Fred, Son Vice President. Dorothy, pleasure having you. Yes. So let me wrap it up very fast. This has been the UPENDO.MIKONO.CHARITY membership for Tuesday, 15th March 2022. Kindly get to YouTube, subscribe to the channel, watch whatever we've done for the last 2 weeks. This is the third week we are running this. I'm very grateful for all of you. Thanks for continuing to come. Thanks for the support. Like I said, I'm doing this for us to network. Now we've networked and we've exchanged contact. You get it? We shall leave our contacts behind. When we leave them, kindly call them for the right reasons. Don't go past the right reasons. When you get my contact, don't call me asking for food on that contact. There's a contact for food and there's a contact for my personal life. You get it? So now this is my personal life. You get it? Thank you once again to the panelists today. They managed to come, it was a little late, and yeah, Fred came through early by 6, he was here. Dorothy was caught up doing some work, but you managed to come. Next week I'll be communicating at least latest by Thursday. I'll be communicating who we shall be having around you. I want us to network, I want us to connect. Fred has explained everything. We need to finish school, and we think you're going to make it out there alone. You need these friends. To everyone who's been coming from year one to there last to now where we are, I appreciate. You know yourselves. To all the new members, still appreciate. Thanks for coming through. I would request next time you come, kindly come with a friend. Come with a friend. I told you I have a budget for this. I want to do certain things, but I feel if I get to engage them into, if I get a chance to do them, some of you may not turn up. So if you continue turning up, I will do whatever you want me to do. The capacity of my ability. Just before I go, allow me just call this gentleman in less than a minute. He tells us what he does, because I'm sure we are saying it for the last time, but it's very authentic. Please come. He's going to tell you what exactly he does. Very fast, he leaves his contact behind. If you're interested in his business, please get there. Remember, we are marketing each other and we are supporting each other. Even him. Okay. Yes. You have to start. Okay, the next. I guess that's it.